whakarongo ki te tangi a te korimako. Kōrero flowing out the hook of force. Kaupapa relevant, kaupapa out of bounds, kaupapa exigent, kaupapa paramount. Nā ko nā whakapiri mai ki te kaupapa tino whakahira whakarongo pi kari mai. Hare mai, o Taringa hare mai. We gotta gather up close everybody. Gather up close everybody. Kani move that body. Kani move that body.
E te iwi e homai rā o koutou taringa kia rahirahi, kia whakarongo, kei hoi, kei puru, anei te reo o taringa e mihi nei, nau mai hoki mai, anei ki te punua pāo o taringa, coming at you from the epicenter, the inner ear drum.
The inner ear drum. Welcome to middle ear.
The inner sanctum.
Yes, you know, wear that buddy and you shouldn't put in your ear, but we just can't get...
When you get that
but
itch
you
out.
shouldn't do that. But anei, e mihi nei kia koutou, coming at you from te pukapu o taringa. Ana, i te upurau, te wānanga o te roa ki Apakura, the bustling metropolis of Taumutu, and we three, we wait for you. Myself, Te Puaheri and Erica, and actually we four, ko hoki mai a MC Grandma.
Te tapawha.
He's a grandma freak, grandma freak.
Grandma freak, yeah.
He knows his E's and Q's. His R's and O's on cue.
Oh, kia ora tātou. And this is what happens when we have a full house, eh? He ka pai, ka pōrangi haere ngā kōrero. Ia re mihi atu ana ki a koutou ngai taringa, a koutou e whakarongo mai nei. And what an awesome introduction from the man himself. Yeah? And of course, yes, this is the inner sanctum of the whare taringa. And I think we've got quite an awesome episode lined up for today, Karema.
I'm excited.
E ana koutou.
E pai ana, e ora ana, e rama.
E rama. E rama.
E rama.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a flash one.
Yeah, it's a Ngāti Mana, it's a kiwaha no Ngāti Manawa, we just learnt it. And it means chair.
Chair.
Chair, chair.
Yeah, so you would see if your kiwaha's as good as that, eh?
Oh, well, I'll give it a good go, e hoa. And, you know, so on that note, it's good to be back in Te Ao Marama. So, you know, just want to share a little bit of what's happened over the past week. You know, it was real aroha that we buried one of our oldest uncles who led our marae, Uncle Nick, back home. And, you know, besides the tangi, you know, we all know how a tangi goes. It had been a while since I had been at a tangi for the duration of the time. And of course, you know, the honour that was afforded to me by the kaumātua and the whole of Kāwhia Moana was there. They were all there. And they afforded me the honour to sit on the paipai and take the number one seat most of the time.
Oh, wow.
Me te tika o dera.
And, you know, it was a good wake-up call for MC Grammar because you can sound flash, you know, for one whai kōrero when you go to a tangi as a manuwhiri. You know, you can lay it all out there. But actually, when you're sitting on the paipai and you've got 300-400 people listening to you the whole day and then the following day and then the day after that, you know, you've got to pull upon your resources and all your tauparapara and things that you know, so you not only keep the manuwhiri engaged, but actually the tangata whenua, the marae as well, so you're not doing the repeat over and over again. So it was a good experience.
Spatial aces out, spatial aces out, or hold on some
That's
picture
a big
cards.
job.
Yeah, you know, even though we had a tangi, I thought, you know, I needed to try and put my best foot forward, especially for our uncle and, of course, for the manuhiri who come on. And, you know, just closing on that, the one day I wasn't there, this fella decides to show up, I think, about 8:30 in the morning, and he texted me, tēnā koe, atu I tō marae. But that's the whanaungatanga we have, Karema.
He was catching the worm that day and the following day.
Yeah.
And, you know, koutou Nick Tūwhāngai, this kaumātua that's been spoken about, you know, it should go on record of his influence and how instrumental he was in the setup of Te Wānanga Aotearoa.
Kia ora e tai.
So, you know, me whai whakaro ki aia.
Tēnā.
Me ngā mahi o ti aia roto I ngā tau. Ai.
Tēnā rā wātu koe.
Oh, tēnā koe, hey. O tēnā tātou. So I thought we'll get into it, eh? And let's have a look at our kiwaha. Actually, I'm not too sure if this is a kiwaha or what, because it's just something that...
Whatever you say is going to be mean.
Yeah, we're going to make it.
You know, and ka moe mai koe, and I've told you this, but, you know, we've got avid listeners of Taringa, but I must say I don't know about you guys, but I've been he nui nā mihi. Ki au, Meki, I au, kia koe. Ki au, I au, they both make sense, actually. Ana nā te hunga whakarongo.
Aye.
Yeah. They're all waiting for you to say what you're going to share, Jared, so kei a koe e tai.
Yeah, so I'm not too sure if it's a kiwaha or if it's just a kōrero, but it's something that I heard my grandmother say, and I'm actually going to share a couple this morning because I think that they relate well to one another. So the first one is, and this actually made Timoti Karetu laugh. And, you know, me uua ka kata Timoti. But, you know,
Taua tiko hawa.
I te noho māua i te tepu e kai ana. And then something happened. This young fella was spouting off. And I don't know, you know, our young people, they're trying to show all their expertise, especially in front of Timoti. And I used this kōrero that my grandmother used to use, and it is, ka ore anō kia mā ngā paranga. Ka ore anō kia mā ngā paranga. Now, you're probably sitting there thinking to yourselves, what the heck does that mean?
I'm thinking, what's a paranga?
Yeah, wow. This will be a good one. Ka ore anō kia mā ngā paranga. And when we have a look at it, so paranga can...
I don't want to look at it.
You don't want to look at it. Neither do I. So paranga is like a stain. So when you say, ka ore anō kia mā ngā paranga, well, what you're saying is that, the stains aren't even clean yet. And when you think about that, you're talking about someone who hasn't fully matured. Yeah? So I remember the first time I started talking about a girlfriend, you know, ki taku kuia, and koinei tana kōrero. Ka ore anō kia mā ngā paranga kua hia ki te wahine.
Yeah.
Yeah? Ka ore anō kia mā ngā paranga kua hia ki te wahine. Or someone that perhaps, in her view, was too young to whai kōrero. She would say, ka ore anō kia mā ngā paranga kua tū ki te whai kōrero. Yeah? So I'm not too sure, mehe he kiwaha tēnei he harane he kōrero rānei.
He kiwaha e tai.
Ai.
kiwaha?
Rite pai, rite pai ki te paraweta kia mātou, kia te taitoke paraweta.
And the cool thing is, I've just heard it too. And it was during koro neihana.
Oh, cool.
And nā auntie mama I kōrero mai.
Oh, ne.
Yeah, I te whakaputa whakaaro ia. Mua te itu āhuatanga e te I kōrero a tētehi. And ka rere tēnei kōrero ki ai. We're outside the wharekai, just getting ready to go into Kamiora. I was getting ready to go for breakfast. He goes, nephew! Nephew! So I went over to auntie mama and she goes, buddy. And I te kōrero ia mo tētei, and ka rere te kiwahara, and I'd never heard it. And I thought it was beautiful, yeah. Especially the mā, kia mā ngā paranga. Yeah, she said it a couple of times actually.
Is that right?
Yeah, and then actually I wrote a few of them down. Because the next day was the same. We gave his nephew. No, we never. It's like, ka pai, auntie, whakaputa whakaaro mai. E rai te me te whakaputa whakaaro. So, yep, sorry. So it's good, not that I'm cross-referencing ni manga, but it is nice to hear when you hear kiwaha from somewhere, and then you can not verify it, but how te kupu e kimi anau.
Well, you've seen its natural use.
Yeah, well, you hear somewhere else. You know, I don't want to use the word cross-reference even or verify, but you know, you hear it and you're like, yep. So that tells me that ko tō tupuna, iaia tōna ona nohoanga, me ona haerenga.
Ai.
Engari auntie mamai, ngaroa wāhi, a koira tana wāhi, tūranga waiwai. So I know, well, this is a kiwaha that's probably a tainui wide one, and could have been used other places as well, because paranga, paraweta. I heard paranga, kawa I tēnei, I oku kaumātua, they used to get, he kupu whakateka, they used to say, te tau parangara.
Yeah.
Koira.
Yeah.
Te tau paranga.
Yeah.
And then we took it, and it turned into, I can't remember what we used to say now. We made an English word out of it.
Planga.
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 It's planga.
Yeah, your plaque. Yeah.
Yep.
So koina te whakapapa o te paranga.
E tūpapa Māori tō tawa kōrero. Planga kato.
Yeah. E whera I te kōrero a Dr. Wayne, when we were talking about etam.
Yeah.
Eta.
And then
Ai.
Era.
You know, koira e na kālega no te kāreka.
Ai.
Say, beauty. Say, kare anō kia mā ngā pranga.
Ai. And, you know, e hare te kupu whakaiti, engari he wairua whakahāwea kei roto.
Ai.
Ne?
Hamuti kōwhai, era kōrero kata.
Koina.
Yeah.
So I thought it's a good one to share, because actually I had only ever heard our immediate whānau use that kiwaha. And, you know, e ko ana taku ngākau e o rāna I auntie mamai mā. So, you know, kāre kore he kiwaha whānui tēnei.
Yeah.
Kāre nei I noho ana he ia mātou.
Another one I heard e tai āhua rite engari kōrerona mo te roke, and it wasn't a tai, engari te māro.
Māro.
Ka rea no
Ai.
kia māro te roke.
Koina, he nui ngā kiwaha pērā. So he pai. And you know, on that note, now this may be a kupu whakarite as opposed to a kiwaha, but when my grandmother used to, and once again, she's chucking off about young people, yeah? So it's kāre no kia manga poranga, this has a relationship to that. She used to refer to them as mātaitai.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
She used to refer to them as mātaitai. Now, we probably know that mātaitai is very close to mātātahi. Yeah? Mātātahi.
I was thinking that.
Yeah, I was thinking mātaitai.
Yeah, talking about our young rangatahi, mātātahi. But she used to refer to them as mātaitai, and this is something that her grandmother used to use. I'm thinking to myself, well, actually, is this kupu whakarite? I'm not too sure. Is it just something that she heard incorrectly? But I decided to do a little bit of research because, you know, i roto i te reo Pākehā, we have things like consonants and assonants. And consonants and assonants are words where either the vowels rhyme or the consonants rhyme, but it's used in jest or in comedy. So I want to give an example of what consonants would sound like in te reo Pākehā. One of my cousins is an amateur wrestler, and this was years ago, so koe kapa. But he said to me, oh, Jared, you're looking quite buff. That's what he said. You're looking quite buff. And then my teina heard it. He goes, oh, nah, he only looks puff. That's what he said, you know. And, you know, there's another one where you could be playing cards and you'll say, oh, man, that fella's a shark. And you could say, well, actually, he's all bloody plaque.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
so this is what consonants and assonants is. And I'm thinking to myself,
Right.
I'm, you know, whakapaia nau, kei roto tēnā ahuatangi te reo Māori. Perhaps mātātahi is the word that we wanted to use when referring to young people, but if you want to chuck off about young people, we use another word that sounds similar to mātātahi, but actually he whakahāwea. And that's what they used to use. My grandmother used anyway. She goes, whakarongo ki ngā mātaitai nei, you know? So when we have a look at kaore anō kia mā ngā poranga, you know, and how that's used, and then we have a look at mātaitai, which is a play on the word mātātahi, but, you know, he whakahāwea kei roto. Koina e tehi o ngā kiwaha, e tehi rānei o ngā kupu whakarite, i rongo waio. So I thought it would be a good kōrero to share on Taringa, especially when we're talking about consonants and assonants, how we can actually play on those words in a similar context. Ai, nō reira, koe nei ngā kōrero I tēnei ate.
Kia pai mai hoki.
Kia pai mai hoki.
I just have to say, your nan sounded like such a cool character.
She was.
Oh, yeah, we used to have some good goes, you know.
Jared obviously had a different experience being her mokopuna than I did. But she was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing about these kiwaha e tai, and I think I've mentioned it before, is you will find, I don't think you'll find many of these in any books. I think this koina te mea mihoro nei ki au is it's from your personal experiences and, you know, the intimate relationship you have with your kuia. You know, some that a lot of people lament, not being able to have that with their kaumātua and kuia and sharing these parts. So, yeah, e mihi tēnei ki a koe, o tira ki tō whānau. Yeah.
Kia ora.
You know, e tika ana tāu e tai, and that's what I see Taringa as. It's a forum to be able to get this type of kōrero out there. And, you know, I've said this many times before, and I pērā taku kuia kāri ia I kaiponu, you know, ki ēnei kiwaha. And if people asked her, she would openly share it. You know, things that are appropriate to share. And I think it's appropriate to share these kiwaha because I think he hā te kehi.
Yeah.
Ēnei kiwaha.
Kia ora.
Okay, karema. Well, on that note, that took a little bit longer than what I expected. Engari, you know, he pai, kia puta ngā, especially ngā maumaharatanga, when praone and me o ngā haerenga. But today, our last kupu session, we had a little bit of a teaser, I think it was. Hey, Erica, we had a little bit of a teaser.
Yeah, te kia ora mai.
And the kaupapa I want to speak about today, we've had a lot of kōrero around our particles, yeah? But we've never really had a kōrero about how you can use different particles together in the same sentence. So what I want to do today is kia kōrero tātou, ai pāna ki te pūwahi me te pūanga, which are our locative particles
Okay.
and our directional particles in the same sentence. And we use them all the time. And, you know, me pono taku kōrero, I'm not too sure if I actually have the answers or the correct translations to what we're going to discuss, but we're going to have the discussion anyway.
Cool.
Because I think sometimes they'll mean different things to different people. And e pai ana tēnā kia.
Yeah, cool. Pai.
Ne, koe nei te āhuatanga o te reo. So I'm going to give us a few examples e te whānau, and especially for our Taringa listeners out there. And I just want you to have a think to yourselves, well, to me, what does that actually mean? So, you know, we started with kia ora. I think this is what our teaser was last time. So we all know what kia ora means. And then, of course, if we were to add another element to that mihi, so what would we be saying if we say kia ora rā?
Ai.
Yeah?
Oh, here we go.
Here we go. Well, we know kia ora, but what would we be saying if we say kia ora rā?
Hello out there.
Now, you can't see Erica's hands, but she was trying to portray the rā with her hands. Yeah? What do you reckon, tai, Brownie?
Kia ora rā. Without doing, you know, a analysis, so to speak. But when I listen to myself, think of myself, when I kia ora rā, I'm putting emphasis on my kia ora.
There you go. And, you know, e whakai anau.
Yeah.
And sometimes it may not translate directly. It may be, oh, hello there, or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
But we know that when we add the rā, it's adding emphasis or it's drawing more focus to that kia ora.
Cool.
So when we say kia ora rā, we're adding more emphasis to that hello. And however you choose to do that, i roto i te reo Pākehā, you know, we would all have our different translations for that. And they'll probably all be correct. So that's going kia ora. Then we had discussion about kia ora rā. Now we had a kōrero about kia ora mai. And I think this is something that I use all the time, only because my grandmother used to use it. And I think Erica gave a good kōrero last time.
Oh, did I?
I think so, or maybe you asked the question. So if I was to say kia ora mai, what would that mean to you? Erica? How rā te tikanga te kia ora mai ki a koe?
Well, I would just assume it's pretty similar to mihi mai.
Ah, okay, ka pai. Pewhi ki a koe, e hei, ki te rongo koe te kia ora mai, how te horo paki?
Ai, he rite tonu taku whakamahi i te kia ora mai. Mena rānei e tika ana i aua hoino. It's to acknowledge the mihi to me. Yeah, kia ora mai. Yeah, that's how I've seen it. Or, actually, I just use kia ora mai because it sounds cool.
Because it sounds cool.
Yeah, but if I was to think about it, it would be in that sense.
Ai. You know, and like I shared in our previous episode, you know, one of our kuia from Ngāpuhi, I heard her use it as she was receiving something at the table.
Ai, koia.
Yeah.
Right.
And she would say, oh, kia ora mai. No, and I looked at her, and that's the first person I heard outside of our whānau use it. Whereas I use it when I'm saying, or similar to noho ora mai.
Ai.
Yeah, and now that's how I would use it, which is more informal. But if we just play with that kia ora mai, so Erica, now that you know how kia ora mai can be interpreted, what do we think the significance of the nā is in that kōrero? Kia ora mai nā.
I don't want to be copying Parone, but would it be emphasising again or no?
Yep, it is emphasising, but this one has a specific emphasis.
What if we said, Erica, kia noho ora mai nā?
Ai, noho ora mai nā.
Noho ora mai nā.
God, you guys, this is too much. All these little words
Yeah,
that
yeah.
don't mean
Erica,
anything.
This is cool,
you're
eh?
much too much. Oh, Jared.
Oh, here we go.
Kia ora mai nā.
Pewhi ki a koe e hei? How would you interpret kia ora mai nā? How te tikanga o te nā?
I'm actually acknowledging something specific.
Yes.
I'm
Ka
getting,
pai.
if you put a cup of tea in front of me,
Right.
I might say, oh, kia ora mai nā. Tēnā koe i tēnā.
Ka pai.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
Ne koe nā te wairua, e angātu ana te mihi, e whakakahani te mihi, ki te tangata nāna tō kaputi I hari mai. Yeah, so it also puts emphasis on the listener.
Ah, kia ora, yes.
Yeah, it puts emphasis on the listener. Your mihi is being emphasized towards the listener. So when you say kia ora mai nā, that's what that nā is,
Yeah, or to whom you address is to,
or to whom you're
that's-
addressing.
Oh,
e te
right.
tangata
yeah.
Right, on the listener. Okay.
You know, and then, of course, we have another example of that when we say kia ora mai rā.
Aye.
Yeah, kia ora mai rā. And once again, now that we already know that rā emphasizes something, it's putting more emphasis on your thank you or your farewell, however you decide to use it.
Yep.
You know, so essentially all these, you know, kia ora rā, kia ora mai nā, they're all essentially saying the same thing. Engari, you know, he pakurere
Yes.
you know, I roto I te horopaki. And this is where you can really tell the command of a speaker,
Kia ora.
you know, in terms of the command of the reo, is these little kia ora mai, you know, kia ora mai nā. You know, we use mihi mai all the time, you know, mihi mai. But we could say there's also ways we can manipulate that kōrero. Tēnā koe mihi mai nei, tēnā koe mihi mai nā. Yeah, they're all saying the same thing, acknowledging someone,
Yeah.
but then e mihi mai nei, ka pai, or e mihi mai nā. And of course, we can also go e mihi mai rā. And they all have slightly different meanings.
Yeah, tēnā ke whakahua tēnā
Yeah.
ere kētanga. Like I have an idea in terms of the locatives, but in the context of tēnā koe, he anō tāu e tai, tēnā koe mihi mai.
Tēnā koe e mihi mai nei.
E mihi mai nei. Thank you for these acknowledgements to me.
That's right, ka pai.
Koina tāu e ki nei?
Yep, yeah, e whakai ana e tai.
Ah, yeah.
Pewhia, tēnā koe e mihi mai nā. How would that change?
So you're saying thank you for those acknowledgements to si ko te ngaro anau i tēnā.
You're putting more emphasis on the person that's
That is-
given the mihi.
Te kaimihi.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
So thank you there.
Thank you there. Yes, thank you
for
there.
acknowledging me here.
Ah, yes. E mihi mai
It's,
nei.
it's,
E mihi
like,
mai
it's,
nei.
e rite ki te me tuatai pakurereke,
Ai.
kua aro pūtō mihi ki te tangata.
Kia
E
ora.
mihi mai nei ki a koe. Engari, tēnā koe e mihi mai nā.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kia ora.
Now, you see, mehe mea ko au tēnā e kōrero nā, I would always use tēnā koe mihi mai nā, because I take the stance that I would personally want the acknowledgements to go back on that.
Yes.
You know, whoever may have acknowledged me.
Yeah.
And kia ora he, you know, ko tōku āhua tēnei.
And I can see tēnā koe mihi mai nei in a more of a saki way, ne?
Ai. Oh, yeah, well, yeah, you can manipulate it that way too.
Yeah.
Kei te aho o te reo, te rangi o te reo.
Ai.
Te rangi o te reo.
Koia.
He kotiti pē tēnei, Jared, engari tētahi o nā mea you know, hoki nea ku mahara, and the first time I heard it, ooh, that's nice. Kore ware au te kaupapa. Engari, mō tētahi tangata te kaupapa nei,
Ai.
I haere rā mātou. Kārere te kōrero. Tēnā hui tātou katoa I aia.
Oh, kia ora.
Right.
Yeah, tēnā hui tātou katoa I aia.
Yeah.
E noho mai nei. Yeah.
Kia ora.
And I was like,
Yeah.
tēnā tātou I aia? And then, ka whakaro, oh yes, well that person was the reason we had
We're
gathered.
there.
Right.
It could have been the 21st
That's right.
or something
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
Yes.
You know, so they were acknowledging the person, but it was in a humble way that they're acknowledging them. We've come together because of that person.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ne, tēnā hui tātou katoa I aia.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So greetings
thank
to
you
all.
for giving us a reason to come together.
Yeah, sort of like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Ai. Yeah, so it's a subtle acknowledgement of that other person, you know, as if to say, because of this person,
Yeah.
this is why we have gathered here.
Well, kia ora.
So he rawe,
Yeah,
eh?
and he karapipiti tērā, eh? Like you're acknowledging the people and the reason or the kaupapa
Yeah.
of the day.
And you could swap that person out for the kaupapa.
Ai,
Tēnā hui tātou katoa I tā tātou kaupapa.
i tā tātou kaupapa. Yeah.
Yeah, hoi no.
So we've had a conversation about the, you know, mihi mai nei, mihi mai nā. And I've said this to some of our kai karanga before, is the difference between karanga mai rā and karanga rā. So for a lot of our kai karanga, and this is something that my grandmother was quite passionate about. So when we have a look at the karanga rā and karanga mai rā, how hoki te rere kētanga? There's got to be a difference there. Or is there? Do we see a difference? What do you think, hey? How te rere kētangi wainganui te karanga rā me te karanga mai rā?
Kia timatau ki
He
te
mea
mai.
ko koe tēnā, ko te hunga e whakaeke atu ana ki rungi te marae.
Ai. Kia haunei, e tū anau ki te taho o te tangata whenua. Ko ngā ruruhi e pēnei ana te koro karanga mai. No, kau, te rōpū whakaeke.
Ai.
Karanga mai. In terms of call to us,
Yeah.
you know, that
Beckon us.
Yeah. That's the location in which you are, you know, having them to call you. So karanga mai towards you.
Ka pai.
Karanga rā, you know, ko hanga e rehu tonu o ku whakaro mo te karanga rā. In which direction does that go?
Oh, ka pai. Pewhia kia koe, Erica, because, you know, this is actually a good point of discussion, because I think a lot of our Taringa listeners would be intrigued to hear our whakaro.
So, yeah, karanga rā. I mean, just from going off the directional things, I would think that's saying, call over there. And then,
Ka pai tēnā.
but then with karanga mai rā, called to us from there. I don't know.
Aye, kapai. You know, and if I'm being honest, that's how the majority of people would interpret that.
Aye.
But, you know, when kōku whakaaro ene, the difference between karanga rā and karanga mai rā, we know that rā adds emphasis or draws attention to the word.
Aye.
Yeah? So it's not necessarily the rā as in the nei nā rā.
Yeah.
It actually has a different function in this context. So when you say karanga rā, you're putting more emphasis on the karanga, yeah?
Ah, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Now, when you say karanga mai rā, linguistically, this is how I see it. You're instructing the tangata whenua as to how to call.
Oh,
Right.
Yeah? So when you say karanga mai rā, and that's how my grandmother, that's how she explained it to me. She said, ka whakamahi ana koe i te karanga mai rā, kei te tohu koe i te tangata whenua me pēwhia tā rātou karanga. Yeah? Because
Okay.
just by using the mai, there's more instruction there.
Ana.
But karanga rā isn't so harsh. You could say karanga rā, you know, te reo e, tēnei rā, nā mate o te motu e whakaeke nei, or something like that. When you say karanga rā, you're not necessarily instructing them, but you are drawing their attention to the purpose of that karanga.
Yeah.
kia ora.
Okay.
It's a subtle difference linguistically, but actually, i roto i te tikanga o te kōrero, I think it's a big difference. Because karanga mai rā is instructional.
Yeah, e kōrero te ana te tone
Ai.
i konei. And ki etai to many of you, this might be the first time you've heard about this is the nuances of te reo.
Aye.
And these little words
Tika.
that are, and I've said it before, the little big things.
Little big
The
things.
little big things.
Absolutely.
And karanga mai, and we have talked about ho mai. It's a directive.
Aye.
And if you say ho mai, you're still directing.
Ai.
Yeah.
And, you know, I learnt off Jared te taiwa i te tepu tā mātāua, and you said tātāua tote.
Aye.
Oh, yeah.
Now, there's an inference there, but you're not actually directing the person. Now, it's a polite way to ask a kaumātua or someone, because really, in the old days, when you only ate what was in front of you, you know,
Tika.
to reach across anybody or to ask for something,
Yeah.
you're actually inviting
He
someone
karanga
to say,
mate.
to say back to you, tēnā, kai ngā kai mua tonu i a koe. But, you know, times have changed. And the salt there might be only 2 settings on the table.
Aye, aye.
So it's very, you know, I look at it, he pērā te iwi hapanihi,
Aye.
he pērā te Māori.
Aye.
We have manners, tikanga.
He,
Yeah.
So instead of asking for something, there's the inference there, oh, tātāua tote, our salt.
Yeah.
You know, now, because you've said our salt, you've put them in the position now
Of-
if
If
they don't give you the salt,
Yeah. It's
they're saying...
for all of us.
Exactly.
Then
Yeah.
if they don't,
Yeah.
they're
Right.
denying
Ana,
you.
koia,
Yeah.
koia. Whereas ki te ki koe ho mai, they can say ko. and the other thing too is for if there are kaumātua there, you shouldn't wait for them to ask.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. Ko te whakarongo mai ana, if there's any kaumātua at the table, don't wait for them to ask
Yeah,
for
you
something.
start passing around the
Just
kai.
what?
What?
Goes, yeah,
What?
Yeah. So these are, and yeah, motako ko te e tai engari, just so you get an idea of this whakaaro Māori coming into te reo.
Yes, yeah.
Aye. That's a beautiful example of the nuances, you know, and the tone and how you don't want to instruct, I suppose, especially in your karanga. So when you use karanga rā, you are still leaving an option open. That's how I see it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Karanga mai rā, it's a more assertive way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so these are the nuances, especially in te reo ōkawa, you know, and I think it's good for our listeners to know because a lot of people, you know, use karanga mai rā and karau i te whakahe. Karau i te whakahe. But when I hear karanga mai rā and karanga rā, there is a distinct difference to me. Yeah. And whakaaro au, ana he pai tēnei kaupapa he kōrerotanga mā tātou. And look, I've only given 3 examples and I've got about 7 lined out
Haere
here.
tonu, haere
Haere
tonu.
tonu.
Yeah.
Haere tonu.
But I think we've actually got, ko marama tātou, how te rerekētangi wainganui, te, you know, te mai nei, te mai nā, te mai rā, all those sorts of things. The last kaupapa I really want to have a kōrero about is, and it comes up from a people make mistakes. People aren't perfect. And there's a hapa that I hear all the time that I think it would be a good time to address it.
Ooh, I like these.
God, who
hapa.
is that? Is it one of us?
Yeah, I'm excited because I feel like, I'm going to learn something from this.
Well, I've heard a lot of people say, ki taku nei mōhio.
Kia ora.
Ah,
Yeah.
yes.
Kia ora.
I've heard a lot of people say, ki taku nei mōhio, or kia aku nei whakaaro. We know what they're trying to say, but I think they've missed it slightly. Because whenever you're using the nei, the nā, and the rā, we can't stick to our neutral possessives. Yeah, we have to make the call whether it's an a or an o. And I can remember going back to my grandparents, because, he tangata whai kōrero taku koroua. Or sometimes, he would say something about people that Nan didn't agree with, and she would say, ai, au nei kōrero hoki.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, au nei kōrero hoki. She would say something similar. And I've never heard any of our old people say, ki taku nei mōhio. They would say, ki taku mōhio, e pai ana tērā.
Okay.
They would say ki taku mōhio. When you add the nei or the nā, I've never heard our old people use the neutral possessives. It would either be the a or the o.
Yes.
So they would say, ki tōku nei mōhio,
Yeah.
ki oku nei whakaaro.
Aye.
Now, we can get away with, ki taku mōhio. It sounds okay to the ear when you say ki taku nei mōhio. But if you want to manipulate that kōrero a bit and say, well, would it sound correct if you would say, ki tōna mōhio?
Yeah, yeah.
Kāre tikana, Ki tōna mōhio,
Ki tōna
e tikana
mōhio.
tērā. But if you were to say, ki tōna mōhio, try and use the neutral possessive, kāre tikana te rere. So, this is something that I wanted to have a kōrero about, is when you start adding the nei, the nā, and the rā, actually, our Taringa listeners, you have to make the a or o
Make the call.
decision.
Make the call,
Right.
yeah. I was
Yeah, make the
writing
call.
something like this, Tai. I was writing something this the other day, and
Ihe.
Carl, I was reading the back, and I said, no, I have to make the a or o because it doesn't sound right. And I can't remember if it was following ana or something like that.
Yeah.
But this brings up, and I can't remember the actual thing, but once again, ka hoki ki tērā mea o te taringa, mena e pai ana te rongo, 9 times out of 10, e tika ana.
Yeah.
Ai,
An
te
easy
tikana.
one I can think of at the moment, e tai o tātou, is e ai ki tāku.
E ai ki
Oh,
tāku,
right.
yeah.
Ka pai.
Yeah.
Now, you can't say e ai ki taku.
Ai, yeah,
Koina.
Grammatically he pai.
Yeah.
But we wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
E ai ki tāku.
Yeah.
And koinei taku deliberation with one of
Ai.
tētahi o ngā huanga o Māo ko Jared, who was telling me, he goes, kare ngā kaumātua, kare rata. It just says, no.
Nah.
But he wi moho ki te a me te o.
ai,
And he was saying, well, you can say anything with an neutral. I said, no, you can't.
nah.
No, you can't.
Would you say e ai ki taku?
Yeah.
E ai ki tana?
Koina.
We would
E ai
say-
ki tō.
Yeah, e ai
Yeah,
ki,
or something like that.
Yeah, koina. And thank you for raising that, Jared, because I think koina te I don't think I say that, but yeah. Tika.
Nah, it becomes habitual though. When people
Well, it
start,
does.
yeah.
Taku nei mōhi.
And he takunga to not,
Koina.
understand or gamble whether they know their R's or O's.
Yeah, and we've heard it, especially in whai kōrero, tēnā koe I au nei kōrero,
Yeah,
tēnā
nei kōrero,
koe I
yeah.
au nā whakaaro. All those sorts of things.
Yeah.
And we've got to make that call e te whānau. So my advice is that if you're going to be using these types of sentences, you can't use the neutral. And Paraoni's given a good example.
Right.
Ne?
Yeah.
E ai ki tāku.
And it holds hands with the beginning of the
Holds hands.
lessons. Hold hands. With the au nā, au nei, o nā whakaaro, au nei kōrero.
Koina.
Yeah.
I'm just cracking up because I know I pēnei I tā mātou I taku poi hun one tērā wiki e tai. We went
Ai.
back to nei nā rā. And it
Yeah.
was mind-blowing
Yeah.
for my, mo te taumata iau, taumata mōhio. And we had another wānanga, we had a wā, it just went that way, nei nā rā, and they were like, OMG. OMG, I said OMG. Me we were ka whēra. We are. Yeah, so, koia, there's those...
The little big things.
Yes, the little
Yeah,
big
Yeah.
absolutely.
The little big things.
But it is, we get to it, and I feel that you're getting to a level of not manipulating, but understanding how to bend and all that. But it's within the nei nā rās and, getting to know those parts. It just sort of opens up your understanding or your use
Yes.
and some
Aye.
kōrero.
You know, I like that analogy, learning how to bend. Yeah. Learning how to bend and manipulate our kōrero. You know, and it is done through the nuances. And this is just one way we can do that.
Yeah.
You know, we're focused on our pūwāhi in isolation and then our pūanga in isolation. And now we're able to have a conversation as to what do we do when we've got them one after the other, you know, structured correctly. And how does that change what we're actually saying? And yeah, I think, you know, koutou ngai taringa e whakarongo mai nā. I think this would probably provoke a lot of thought, really, and perhaps some questions coming out of the session. And ka pai tēnā.
Definitely.
Yes. And as we do on Taringa, we do a bit of airbending.
We do a bit of airbending.
No, it's not hot here, Carl. Not blow-assing.
No blow No, bending the ear. Your ears.
Yes, bending the
O
taringa.
tēnā rau te koe tai.
Aye.
And, you know, I can, I think, you know, we've still got lots to wānanga about. Engari, tēnā koe i tā tātou wānanga i tēnei rā. And, yeah, it does. It provokes thought.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Thanks for bringing that to our attention.
Thinking of ways of using it now.
Ai, kia ora mai nā.
Yeah, kia ora mai nā.
Ai.
Yeah. Me au nā kiwaha.
Tika.
Oi, kia ora,
Ai.
kia ora.
E nā he whakaoti ngāke e tai i te rawiki i tō kraua taha māua. I whakaia kia noho mai hei manuhiri mā Taringa.
Oh,
And o i a tāhua, wana
Ai.
kōrero, Tīmoti. And
Ai.
he used kia ora mai.
Yes.
Oh,
che.
A couple of times actually. Yeah, and kia ora mai nā. And kia ora mai. Yeah, so yeah, I pai. Tino pai.
Ka
Engari,
pai.
e mihi ana kia koe. Tēnā rau ati koe, o tira ngai Taringa.
Tēnā hoki koutou.
Tēnā tātou i a Jared, i haere mai ai i tēnei rā.
Ai.
Ki te whāriki, kaua ko te whakawhāriki. Ki te whāriki i etahi, yes, whāriki, not whakawhāriki.
Kia ora.
Whāriki i etahi kōrero hei wānanga mā tātou MC Grammar.
MC Grim. Chiput, chiput.
Nā mihi kia koe, hei ko nā mai rā.
Ai, tēnā hoki koutou. Ka manakitanga kia koutou.
Ai,
Nā
kia ora
koe.
rā.
and I'm going to be thinking about every single little nei nā rā now.
Ia oa.
But we'll throw it over to our waiata, which is...
Hunara.
Whakarongo mai.
Whakarongo mai.
Re
te tau hoki wairua maira.
Wawhiria ko te taura o te aroha hunga.
Tēnā pē te wete ki a, te motu ki a rane. Ko te tūmata ora, wa tūmata tēnā, ko manawa reka, wa manawa tūrei kura. Ko tā kurua maukino, kahi pāke tō aroha ia, ka mautonu mehe mano tau te rā. Ko tā manawa, ko tōku manawa, hana rā.
Could you go whakarongo
Mai nei?
nei?
You say, nei. You say, whakarongo mai. E tēnā koe whakarongo mai nei and whakarongo mai nā.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the same thing. So we listen on, I watch.
You who are listening here.
Yeah, you are listening.
You who are
yeah.
listening there.
And when people get interviewed on live TV, they tēnā koutou e te iwi e whakarongo mai nei, e mātaki mai nā. Those are the same? Or
Yep.
they infer the locative in which the
Yes.
viewer or listener are.
Yeah. So e whakarongo mai nei, listening here.
Yeah.
E whakarongo mai nā, you're there listening.
That's the part. That's
Yeah.
the part.
okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're there, yeah. So greetings to you
You're
there
there
listening.
listening.
Yeah.
Here.
Tēnā koe whakarongo mai nei, you know, thank you for listening here.
Yeah.
Tēnā koe whakarongo mai nā, thank you there for listening.
Thank you there for listening.
They're listening,
Acknowledging
yeah,
those
yeah.
for
Yeah,
listening.
yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I had to sort of create another space to view Ra in that part. Because my Ra went straight to locative, like tērā.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So an emphasis. And then I'm thinking,
Oh, yeah, I thought that was quite interesting how he said the karanga mai rā is more instructional and assertive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, koutou e whakarongo mai nā, if you've been taught to say karanga mai, e pai ana.
Yeah.
You know, that was something that his tupuna, his kuia, taught, and that's what she did as a paukaranga. Koira tāna mahi.
I was always from the manuhiri side that you'd say karanga rā.
Yeah.
That was my other one, yeah. And even the other one is whakatau mai, ne. And that's only a manuhiri side. Because
Yeah.
it's...
Yes.
The,
Well, and that's, you know, that's open to deliberation. I mean, that's what we've been taught.
Yes.
And, you know, I've had that deliberation with some because they said, well, who's going to whakahea all those, you know, they got old recordings of
Yeah.
kaumata saying whakatau mai. It's a good one to definitely mihi mai.
Yeah.
And then whakatau mai, I think whakatau, and someone said it should be whakatau ake rā in the karanga, not whakatau mai rā.
Oh.
Yes, so...
Yeah, we got to get into ake as well.
Yes.
The usage of ake. and how-
Ake iho.
Ake iho, yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
yes.
Even mai anatu.
Aye.
So like,
We touched on that earlier.
The
in a
homai
few-
and what.
yeah.
Yeah. E whakapāho atu nei.
Yeah. Well, one that I've picked up, and in closing,
Yeah.
is when we're talking about time.
Oh, yes.
So when time hasn't happened, anything in the future should be atu.
Aye.
Atu i te ono karaka ki te whitu.
Yeah.
So from 7 o'clock, or
Onwards
6 to 7,
to 7,
onwards, yeah, if it hasn't happened. But ina nahi mai te ono ki te whitu from because it's happened.
Because it's happened.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great Scott.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Back to the future.
So, you know, you wouldn't say mai nai nei ki te apopo. You'd
Yeah.
say atu i nai nei. Atu
Yeah.
i tēnei rā
Yeah.
ki te apopo, whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay.
So we do a mai atu. Yeah.
Mai atu ake iho.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is great, guys.
Actually, that's a good one. That'll be our next one. E te iwi mai
iwi.
atu ake iho.
Yeah.
Nā. Ahoy no? Koe rā tātou.
Aye.
Ai.
E mihi ake ana, e rere tonu ana mihi ki a koe MC Grandma. O ti rā tātou e hoa mā. It's always a pleasure.
Always a
Always
pleasure.
a pleasure.
And to our engine room of Taringa. Great thanks. Tēnā koe tio. Mōkena, we've got tio I te rānei, and we've got a whole lot of other ringaringa and waiwai.
Aye.
That
And
make
yeah,
up Taringa.
that
We're
make
not just
Taringa.
the air.
Exactly. Nō reira, e hoa mā, e mihi ake ana. I was recentered to that. Not that I ever forget, but when Jared shared how Nene Manga was quite open and sharing,
Yes.
and that, that's the reason why Taringa was born.
Yep.
Hapai. And Taringa's doing its thing.
Doing its thing.
And we're doing our thing.
Yep. Everyone's up to something.
Yeah. So, I runga I tērā, e mihi ake ana. Kia ora hui tātou katoa. Hei kona maira.
Tēnā koutou.
Hei kona.
Bit whakaronga pi kari kari. Gather up close everybody buddy. Taringa. Yeah, tahuri mai ki yo. Whakarongo ki te tangi a te kori mako. Korero flowing out the hooker force. Kaupapa relevant, kaupapa out of bounds. Kaupapa exigent, kaupapa paramount. Nā kona whakapiri mai ki te. Kaupapa tino whakahira whakarongo pi kari kari mai. Hare mai, o Taringa hare mai. We gotta gather up close everybody. Gather up close everybody. Kani move that body. Kani move that body.
Taringa, he mea tuku nā te wānanga o Aotearoa. Nā te māngai pāho me irirangi te motu I tautoko. To listen to more episodes, search for us on your podcast app and subscribe, or follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Taringa, whakarongo mai.